Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760 WJR.
Wonder why that volume just dropped like that. Good Monday morning to you. It is the 15th of June, the 167th day of 2020. There are 199 days left in the year. Make each and every day count. Each day is a gift. And I hope you had a great weekend. If you didn't have a great weekend, it's because you weren't trying. It was, at least weather-wise, a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Now, that's not to say there wasn't some bad news out there. There was some bad news, and we'll talk about it this morning. Some internationally bad news. On the other hand, the bad news with Mr. Whalen over in Russia is actually good news. And that's a little confusing, but we'll get into that a little bit throughout the morning. Meanwhile, the team, Dick Hafner is back doing our WJR news the way it was meant to be done. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate it. He's on mute now, getting his next newscast ready. Dana is off, and Rich Luzinski is in. And we're glad that he is on the Hollywood Squares board so that you can actually, if you want, see him. We obviously can always be heard on social media, but now you can see us for the first 45 minutes of the show. And we're happy to be on the radio and on the social media with an opportunity for that. Rich, nice to have you along.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Brian Morton is back and ready to go. I spoke to him much earlier this morning. I couldn't believe how happy he was to be back. I'm not telling the truth. Anyway, Kim is here, wide awake. She got up at 3 and has been up ever since because she is an early bird, a morning lark. I am a night owl. And Thomas is an early bird and a morning lark and a night owl because we communicated all hours of the night. Last communication was after 10 last night. Our executive producer, Ann Thomas.
Good morning, Dub, and happy Monday.
It was a beautiful weekend, was it not?
Wow. Just picture perfect weather.
Picture perfect weather, and we couldn't ask for anything better than that. And here we go. Dick, you mentioned it. There's a whole bunch of new things opening up starting today with the governor. We had our coronavirus count at 59,990, which means we're probably over 60,000 now. But the death toll, friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, 5,770. And again, that probably has gone up. But we haven't had the spike that some people were concerned about after everything that's been going on, have we?
No. At the time that people were complaining about Governor Whitmer's clampdown conditions, other states like Texas and Arizona were opening things up, saying we didn't have a problem. Well, now Texas, Arizona, and several of those other states have the spike, and we don't.
And you know what else we have found from a study from, I don't have it right in front of me, but it's in my stack here because I have so much stuff, that in fact, the things that our governor, here it is, study finds Michigan governor's aggressive coronavirus restrictions may have saved lives. This is a study from the College of London, Imperial College London, and Oxford University shows that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer's stay-at-home order may have saved tens of thousands of lives. Not just a few, tens of thousands. All right, there you are. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, a lot. And we'll do that now at 5:43 on WJR.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
And let's check it at 5:43. We have Rich Luzinski with our WJR Traffic and Weather first.
That disabled vehicle on the I-75 northbound ramp to the Davidson is cleared. Your left lane is blocked for repairs on I-75 northbound between I-94 and East Grand Boulevard. And expect slower conditions on I-75 in both directions between 7 Mile and Adams Road as that extensive construction project continues. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing with nagging body pain, scar tissue, improved blood flow, nerve function, and muscle stimulation? The Restore Wellness Center will reduce or eliminate the pain completely. Reserve your appointment today at the state's best non-invasive laser therapy treatment center. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com. Here's your forecast.
Clear, cool nights and warmer afternoons coming, getting above 80 degrees by tomorrow. A few clouds around this afternoon, otherwise a clear start and mostly sunny finish, 78. Tonight, clear, 56. Tomorrow, sunshine, warm, 82. Wednesday, more sunshine, up to 85. I'm meteorologist Ray Stidgick from the Weather Channel, News Talk 760, WJR.
Well, let's check in now. Rush Limbaugh is usually here from noon till 3. Should be back this week, in fact, after some treatment for the battle against lung cancer at 5:44. He stops in first thing this morning on the Paul W. Smith Show on WJR.
Judging merely by credentials, a lot of people.
We usually hear Rush now for our people online. We've gone back to doing that, Curtis. It's not coming through, is it?
No, I haven't heard it come in yet. Oh, Brian.
Does Brian have to do it?
Yes, Brian, if you don't mind clicking it back in.
Over their children.
Thank you.
The professor says that in her view, that kind of control is dangerous. It's dangerous to put powerful people in charge of the powerless. It's dangerous to give those powerful people to parents total authority over the powerless people. They're crumb crunchers. So you parents out there, you're much too dangerous for your own children to be left with you during this crisis because your dictator-like attitudes, you get too much power, too much unchallenged authority over your poor, powerless kids. Makes you dangerous, more dangerous than the coronavirus or any other virus. This anti-parent drivel was not written for The Onion or some satirical publication. It's in Harvard Magazine. So what's more dangerous for America, the coronavirus with parents staying at home with their kids, or an esteemed, credentialed Harvard professor and child ad? This is incredible.
Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3 today, right here on WJR.
Good morning. We have Ron and Kathy and Patrick and Trish and Ann and Mike and Clay. Steve, good morning. Good morning. And at the moment, we are missing Dick Hafner. Oh, here's Dick. There's Dick right there. Yes.
Richard, did you have a good week off? Or you might not be able to hear us. Dick, can you hear me? Yes? Did you have a good week off?
Yeah, I can barely hear. Yes, I did. Terrific.
Wonder why I can barely hear us. And why does Rich look like, and his lips are off with what his words are? I hope we don't all look like that.
I'm not saying anything.
No, but when you were, and even just now, your movements now are like.
Maybe it's his particular stream. You know,
I was so impressed that he could use his regular microphone. That mine is sitting right here, and I have to use this mic. Then I switch to that mic. I'm impressed that he can come in through the regular mic, but there is a difference in his feed from the three of us, which seems to be in real time.
Is this better?
That's because I'm having to use the mic that's on my phone. That's
Dix
the whole problem here, and the engineer.
Well, no, I don't. I mean, I don't. Right now, I didn't see a problem with what you were doing. It's just that Rich seemed totally different than what Dana has seen. But you're at the studio. I can see our Apsopure coffee maker. Have they covered the Apsopure coffee maker?
I can barely hear what you're saying. I really can't understand the words that you're saying.
Oh, see, that's
my volume on my phone has to be down, or else we get feedback.
Good morning, Gust. Nice to see you. What did you do this weekend, Doug?
Do you hear that speaker in the background?
I do, yes.
I wonder why that before that. maybe when I go back to the regular
There you go.
whatever. We hung out. We hung out by the pool. What else did we do?
What a great weekend.
We
for that.
relaxed.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, we relaxed. And those 8 things that have come up from the pandemic that we want to stick with, because we've made changes. They're very good. And I can tell you, there's many of them that I'm embracing.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because when we come back from the break, because those are
We have to talk about Atlanta and the
Yes, we
Wendy's, and
do. I
I don't really want to, but
we have a lot to talk about today. But the 8 things everybody can relate to this morning, because there are so many of them that I too am committed to continue to do. They're just great. They're just wonderful ways to live that we shouldn't get rid of.
right. And there are things that, frankly, in all of my years of doing what I do, I kind of got on a treadmill.
Yes.
That I didn't even realize I was on until I was forced off of it.
Me too.
So this going out every night, people have always said, how do you keep up that pace? Well, you know what? I'm not going to anymore.
No, it's too hard.
It is way too hard. And it was grueling and not good for me.
You're hearing the Paul W. Smith Show, News Talk 760, WJR.
All right, lots going on. We already know that. We will get to the news of the day. First, we're Paul Whelan. And Dick, if we can make a quick summary here. The family was hoping to get to this point. He's been 2 years in jail. They've been playing around with him. But now that he's been sentenced to 16 years in jail in Russia, he becomes a more valuable pawn to use in the international trade game of, we'll give you 2 of these if you'll give us 1 of those, or we'll give you 3 of those if you'll give us 1 of these. He now is valuable to be traded to come back home, as I understand it.
Isn't that something? Yeah. That's how the State Department and Russian Foreign Ministry channels work in the world of diplomacy. Now that it's the trial is over, it's out of the hands of all the legal, or the people who claim to be legal people in Moscow, and now the diplomats can take over and maybe do a trade, and we can send a real spy back to Russia and get Mr. Whelan back.
We can send a real spy. God bless you, Dick. That's so true. We'll give you a real spy for the fake spy that you took just so you could get your real spy back. I mean, that's the bottom line. Boy. Quick note on Atlanta, and then we'll get to some of these things Ann was talking about, and it's in my stack now. Of course, I'll never find it because my stack keeps growing as I go along. But the fact is, here's a fact. If you're caught sleeping in your car in a drive-through at a fast food restaurant, that should not result in you now today being dead. Period. Now, there are all kinds of reasons that this person is dead. Part of it is bad police training. Part of it is resisting arrest, which we've said 1,000 times. You don't do that. You certainly don't want to get into a struggle with the police, and you never want to be running away from the police and turn back and point anything at them. These are things that some of us know. Unfortunately, not everyone does, and it doesn't give the police an excuse to shoot this guy. And do you know what they're talking about in changing police work? Here's one of the ways that would change, and that is this. The police catch a guy who they feel is either under the influence of alcohol or drugs. The guy clearly should not be driving. By the way, he wasn't driving, he was sleeping. Now, falling asleep in a drive-through is not a very good thing to do and not very smart. But if the new police way would be to say, okay, fella, you can't drive. Call a family member, or we're going to call you a car service, one of the car services, and we're going to take the keys downtown with us, or however they work it, and say, tomorrow, come back and get your car. But this car is going to take you home. That's part of what I think some people are talking about for the new way for police. Because in this case, tussling with a guy, dragging him to the ground, rolling around is so beyond what should be happening for the crime of being in your car asleep in a drive-through. And if in the de-escalation of the new world order of policing, calling an Uber or letting them call a family member to come pick them up, and they're in a parking lot, for God's sakes, park the car in the parking lot and tell the guy, we've got your keys at the police station, or we're giving them to the Uber driver and he'll give them to you when you get home. Come back tomorrow and get your car. Go on your way.
Exactly.
That's
This
the
goes
police work. As far
This
as I'm
goes
concerned.
under the new neighborhood police forces that they're talking about. So just exactly like you said, Paul, somebody would come and say, you know, you can't drive. You've had too much to drink. Give me the keys. Take the keys, or even put a block on the car. Something.
There's something that could be done.
Then
Do
you
you
de-escalate
realize-
the situation.
Do you realize how many times that has been done, only we don't hear about it?
Yes.
Many, many times.
Because
Well, no-
that's an issue. You know, a lot of people fall asleep in these drive-throughs. It happens all over the country. Honestly,
In
yes.
parking lots,
Yes.
along the street, etc. And
Yes.
the police handle it in the way that you just specified,
Yes.
only we don't hear about it. Why? Because there was no problem.
Oh, I never thought about that. So
They
they
have
do
to-
that? They call and I didn't think they
Of
did that.
course.
I didn't think they called anymore. I mean, I know in the past, various broadcasters who will go nameless right now have been pulled over for driving under the influence, and the police helped them get home rather than helped them to be a headline in the newspaper and in jail. We've known those stories for years, and unfortunately, one of those guys used to like to fight with the police. So he's the one who always got in trouble, and we all know about that guy, and I don't need to say any names for people who are no longer with us. But anyway, about those tips and those 8 things that there are a lot of things that happen because of the pandemic we're not thrilled with. But the reality is there are some things out there. One of them that strikes me, and I've talked about this before, is how much closer we've gotten to people that we haven't been that close to, or even people that we felt that we were close to them. We've had many more intimate Zoom, or I call this Barnyard, but StreamYard, or any number of other ways. Oh, I got to ask a quick question before this break. So names come up to me on Facebook. Actually, they come up to me on my email and says, so-and-so wants to be a friend. Well, if it's a person I know, I hit okay or yes or whatever it is you hit.
Sure.
So I did that like 3 times last night. This morning, I have 50 new requests to be a friend. Are people alerted? Hey, Smith is saying yes to friends. And then they all send me these? How does that happen? Out of nowhere.
That's a good question. It's possible. The metrics might show that you're now opening up your page, or you're spending more time on the page.
Must be something.
Yes.
Thank you for being a friend.
Yes, well, it's making it so I don't want to be a friend because I can't go through all of these. Anyway, now I promise you when we come back after the news, we are going to get into the 8 habits that you might want to keep that you've picked up or been forced into because of the pandemic. Because by then I'll be able to find my sheet of paper with all of them that Ann has in front of her right now. And I want to be, as they say, on the same page. It is 5:57 at WJR.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
Let's check it right here, right now. Rich Luzinski with our WJR Traffic and Weather first on WJR.
It's a slow go on I-75 southbound between I-696 at 8 Mile. Your left lane is blocked for repairs on I-75 northbound between I-94 and East Grand Boulevard, and expect slower conditions on I-75 in both directions between 7 Mile and Adams Road due to construction. Now WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Starline Mackinac Island Ferry. Hightail it to Mackinac Island on a Starline Mackinac Island hydrojet or Catamaran Ferry and new pirate ship, the Good Fortune. Starline offers the largest open-air boats disinfected before every trip with fares starting at $19. Get discount tickets and vacation packages at MackinacFerry.com. Clear skies, it's 54 degrees. I'm Rich Buzinski. WJR News in 1 minute.
Well,
I just sent it to you again, Dubster.
I know, but I printed it. I printed it, so I don't want to go. I keep, the amount of paper and ink I'm going through, the number of trees I've been responsible for killing. It's just not right. I just don't know what happens to it. It's like it falls into an abyss.
My video looking clearer to you?
It is looking, it isn't as jerky. Yeah, you look like regular motion there.
Cool.
Yeah, and your voice matched up with your lips.
Oh, good.
Before you were kind of, weather.
One of our listeners is said Clay, who every morning checks in with us bright and early. He says he's one of the people that is one of your friend requests, Dubster.
Oh, Clay, I'm sorry. I did see a couple of names that I now remember seeing on the screen, and I did hit yes on the ones that I was familiar with, but it's overwhelming. I'd have to hire a staff just to handle that. Hey, Bev Morton is saying, good job, Rich Lazinski. How about that?
Good morning, Mike.
I apprate it.
Good morning, Bob. Bob Deramo says his wife received a friend request from you yesterday.
Yeah, I'm telling you, some of them were friends asking, and other ones, which I didn't delineate between because I didn't. But when I saw Dottie's name, I said, well, yes.
Absolutely.
But I didn't realize I was asking to be.
So, yes, because what they do is once they see that you recommend, once they see that you accepted a request, then they start recommending people that you might want to be friends with.
Floodgates opened.
Yes.
Clay, I think I hit your friend request because I remember the name. And so I don't know. Clay, did I or did I not? It just says, Clay, it's okay. I thought I hit I hit yes. See, that's the problem with this stuff. I don't know.
Once you become, sometimes.
Oh, I did. Mine was a friend request, and thank you for the accept. Okay, good. That I figured I was doing right. With Dottie, I don't know.
Feed sometimes. So people might see it in the news feed. Someone might see it in the news feed that Paul W. Smith is friends with this person, and they'll say, oh, I want to be friends with Paul W. Smith. So then they'll go ahead and add and make the request for you. So if they see it in the news feed, that might make them think that they want to be your friend. It might remind them, oh, I'd like to be friends with Paul W. Smith.
Thank you for being a friend. Rich, you're pretty good at this sort of stuff. Are you still doing those? Were you doing those shout outs or those trumpets or those fanfares or those?
In a while. But things are kind of dying down a little bit. So I'm hoping that I, as much as I enjoyed doing them, I'm hoping that things will eventually clear up to the point where we'll have a form of normalcy.
So
kind words.
I bought this ring to go on the
the light. Yeah, the light.
But the battery went out. So now I have to connect it in somewhere.
In the USB port. But in your new Apple, because you have a MacBook Pro as I do too, those fill-in expletive here changed the connection. So I had to go and buy for both Kim and I can't show it to you now, but it's by some company called Lentiton or Lentian. I don't know what it's called, but it is an adapter.
Me too.
Oh, here. Kim hasn't used hers yet. In order to plug in my either headphone or microphone into the computer, This is a high priced, like $50. You can get a cheaper one, but this one does a lot of different things. It has a lot of different, I don't know why they don't list it. It's got USB-C digital AV multi-port adapter with USB-A plus HDMI plus card reader plus gigabit Ethernet plus USB-C data plus PD. Now, I know nothing about any of those things, but it will do anything you need over the rest of your lifetime until Apple pulls another fast one and makes us buy extra equipment so they can make more money and not be very helpful to the rest of us. But that's business. I found the quarantine has changed us, and it's not all bad.
Yes, good job, Deb.
Now, I'm a little concerned that Vox is, I don't know Vox too much.
No, I don't
a little
either.
bit anti-capitalistic. I mean, they're a little
did you see that?
They're a little bit, I enjoyed not working so hard. I don't think I'm going to work so hard anymore. Wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with working hard and accomplishing things.
Good point. You are right. I do like their working from home idea, though. That's a great idea.
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
That is definitely.
Companies are just finding out that there's money to be saved. They are saving money doing it. Our own company, and that's good. Fine. Any way we can save money and still produce a good product, I'm all for that.
I also bought that microphone. I don't have it yet, but I cannot believe the quality of that microphone.
Is it really different? Because everybody told me that headset mic was good.
That headset mic was excellent. I've
but
recorded
this is noticeably better.
Noticeably better. I've recorded several women who lead shows with just the little headphone mic that you were using, and you couldn't tell on the air.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, this one is even better.
No kidding. Now, how come Rich gets to use his regular mic? He has the same mic that I have here, my quote-unquote regular mic that I use when I'm on just the radio. How is it that, Rich, you can go through that microphone? Because it seems to me I would have saved having to get another microphone.
Good question. I don't know.
I have a very expensive elder.
Oh, I can't hear him anymore.
The Paul W. Smith Show, News Talk 760, WJR.
Good Monday morning to you. It is June 15th, the 167th day of 2020. There are 199 days left in the year. Make each and every day count. Each day is a gift. This is a continuation of the spectacular weekend that I hope you enjoyed, that we all enjoyed, because we have yet this beautiful weekend followed by another great day of weather, perfect for outdoor activities. But who is this that wrote this? Paul Gross. God bless Paul Gross over at Channel 4 said that understand, since parents are now transitioning from home school to home camp, realize that a nice day like this is helpful, but don't forget the sunscreen. He says the sun's rays are at their most intense of the entire year right now. Did you know that? The sun's rays are at the most intense of the entire year. Use the sunscreen. Thank you, Brian. Remember that every sunburn you prevent now for your kids lowers their chances of skin cancer years down the road. That's important to note. Very important to note. All right. We had talked a little bit about the quarantine, which is they're lifting again. This means we can get a haircut. I've even forgotten what it's like. I've met more people. We saw Rod and Tammy Alberts over the weekend, and Rod Alberts had very short hair. And I said, how'd you get short hair? And he said, I've always cut my own hair.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I would not try to do that for fear. Well, you don't want to put scissors or a clippers in my hands for me to do my head. I did. I trimmed my beard. Kim helped me a little with that, and I did not have a catastrophe. I thought it might be a catastrophic event, but it's trimmed. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little better. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. Meanwhile, I guess you hit all the high points with the news, Dick. The one thing that Ann was talking about over the weekend was this pandemic and how it's changed us all and changed the way we do things. Here's the first one that made me think, well, this Vox, I don't know who they are, but reducing consumerism. The most popular response. What has changed? What will you keep? And I will say that we have said to ourselves, Kim and I, we don't really need that. We don't need any more clothing. Well, first of all, we're not going out to all the black tie events that we have in previous years.
Right.
And it's easy for me. I wear a tuxedo. For her, she has to wear something different every time. But we're not going out to those events because they're not happening. And when they do happen, I don't think we're going to be buying as much clothing and other things. Do you find the same thing, the reduced consumerism?
Absolutely.
I worry about companies. I worry about businesses.
Right.
If we start spending less money. Number two, slowing down and putting less pressure on ourselves. That's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
And for those of us who have done it and didn't realize it because it was our way of life, it's been a shocking realization that I was spending so much time running from one event to the next and doing the nighttime things till late in the evening and going to bed too late, which I still do because it's a bad habit. I'm not going back to that.
No
It's
way.
not going to happen.
It's exhausting, and it's
It
not
is
good for your health.
Not good for my health.
That's right.
The example I always use is when somebody calls the radio station and says, could Paul W. Smith MC my event? And the person on the phone, when there was a human being on the phone, says, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't hear? Paul died last night. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Is there someone else there that could MC my event? That's when I said,
That's terrible.
that's when I said, you know what? I know it's important to people because it's their event. They do one a year. I do 100 of them a year, and I can't anymore. Not going to happen. And that's
MCs are easily forgotten.
Yes, they are. And look at MC Hammer. And number three, prioritizing family and friends.
Yes.
What
That's
did,
a good one.
and you've been doing that, Dick? Have you been doing that?
Absolutely.
Rich?
Yeah, it's a great
You've
idea.
been doing that?
Definitely. I try to do that in general, but yes, certainly
I think we all have more friends and we have more family than we thought we did.
Well, you're right. And thank God for that.
Yep.
But let's try to keep that newfound time that we have made, that we've produced, or it's been produced for us, and let's stay in touch with people. I notice this with Kim a lot. She has girlfriends that she has a regular Friday cocktail party with and a Sunday brunch with. And these are very long-term friends, and they've been in touch with each other now a lot more than they would be regularly. And they were regularly in touch, but when you book it like that, and then I sit there and I'm an interloper and I'm there, and they get into conversations they didn't generally or wouldn't normally get into, and they're all with their spouse. So it's interesting. Couples interacting.
Sure, that's excellent. It's great.
Let's see if we can keep from backsliding to our bad old habits.
Well, that's going to be a tough one, Dick, as you know. We can have all the best of intentions and the shortest of memory spans.
Another one on that list is exercising daily.
I skipped over the ethical action and activism in our highly interconnected world to exercising daily. And that, Kim has always done that. I still haven't jumped on that bandwagon.
That's a good one, though, also because it will help you fight the coronavirus if you were to get it, because it would enhance your lungs. Exercise is really a must.
Well,
it has to go happen every day.
For me, it's certainly physical. I need that. But it's also the psychological, the mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the tension and the pressures of all the stuff that we do, exercise, I know just from talking about it and interviewing enough people is something that's very therapeutic and good for us. That's getting more sleep, exercising, drinking lots of good, clean water. I don't do enough of any of those, although my apps appears always around. My steam distilled, which is my
You are
favorite.
good on the water. Thanks.
Well, not
Paul,
as good as I should
for
be,
Absopure.
really. I can go all morning with just the coffee, and I shouldn't. Here's a quick one. Do I hear the traffic thing? Okay, here's a quick one. And I've seen that with Kim, and Marie mentioned it, and I think you've mentioned it too, Ann. Baking is on the upswing, and they're saying vegetarian cooking and growing herbs.
Yes, and working in the yard. That's another
Overall.
one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spending more time in nature and working from home if possible. These are some of the things we've been forced into that wouldn't be so bad to keep them around once the pandemic ends. That's, of course, if the pandemic ever ends. On that happy note, it is 6:14 at WJR.
This report is sponsored by Dell.
Dell Technologies advisors are here to help businesses working remotely get the right tech solutions, from unparalleled collaboration with Windows 10 and Microsoft Teams to special financing offers for small businesses to help preserve cash flow with Dell Financial Services. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
Well, Keith Anderson, the famed Anderson Pools founder, CEO, president, along with his wife, Janet, Keith Anderson said, word of the day, interloping. Because remember, I said I was an interloper on Kim's calls. He says, it's good for us men to know our place. Isn't that the truth? All righty. We continue audio on social media and, of course, on WJR 760. Our first 45 minutes facing you on social media ends here for right now. We'll continue it again tomorrow morning as we check at 6:15 our WJR Traffic and Weather first. And Rich Lozinski.
WJR Traffic first